Welcome to the last part of Chapter 11. We'll start with discussing repatriation. Repatriation is the process that happens when the assignment is complete and the expatriate returns home. Some individuals include failure to successfully repatriate an individual as expatriate failure. This is because all of the organizational investment in the individual is lost if he or she is not retained once the assignment is complete. There is no return on investment if the multinational is not able to retain the globally minded, experienced manager. There's some evidence that in the US, about 25% of individuals leave their employing organizations after the assignment, and about a third to half of returning expatriates leave within 2 years after their assignment is complete. What are some of the issues that individuals are likely to face when they are repatriated once their assignment is complete? One group of issues or challenges that are faced by the expatriate as well as the family are cultural issues. While individuals don't expect to experience culture shock when they return home, there is such a thing as reverse culture shock. When you've lived in a different country for 3 to 5 years, you've adapted and changed, and coming back home might feel uncomfortable, and you will experience what is called reverse culture shock. The individuals are going to need to adapt or readapt to the work environment and the social environment in the home office. They're going to have to relearn to communicate with others in their home country and within the organization. And they're going to have to adapt to basic living arrangements. At times, expatriates have quite a lavish lifestyle. If they're granted company housing, they're in a key leadership position in a foreign organization, which affords them a certain lifestyle. Many of these additional allowances are lost once they return home, which can create a challenge for them to adapt. Of course, there are some other organizational problems. Sometimes individuals don't feel that they're able to put their international experience to use, and they feel that the time they've spent abroad is not valued or appreciated by the employing organization. Also, when the individual returns home and no promotion is lined up for them, the job that they receive after the return might be perceived as a demotion. Very often, parent country nationals in foreign operations have a lot of autonomy and a lot of freedom, and they lose that autonomy and that authority to manage the foreign subsidiary when they return home and have to be reintegrated into the organizational hierarchy. Also, when the organization doesn't plan ahead and there's no clear career path upon return, and when individuals are placed in temporary assignments and there's no clear progression in their career, they might be demotivated and decide to leave. Some of the things that multinational organizations can do in order to improve retention post-assignment and benefit from that return on investment by being able to reintegrate the highly trained, capable, globally minded individuals back into the organization includes several actions that can take place to enhance the quality of repatriation. The first thing that can be done is planning ahead. Even before the expatriate leaves the home organization for the foreign assignment, some thought should be given to what will happen when he or she returns. One thing that can be done is assigning a mentor in the home office who will serve as a liaison between the expatriate and the home organization. This alleviates the out of sight, out of mind syndrome when the expatriate who is in a foreign location is forgotten when career progression opportunities arise. It's important for organizations to avoid making promises that they might not be able to keep. Managers should not promise a career progression or a promotion post-assignment if they can't guarantee that. This would constitute a violation of the psychological contract. This unwritten understanding that, okay, I'm going to take on this international assignment, but when I come back, I'm going to receive a promotion. And when that does not happen, the individual feels that the promises were violated, the psychological contract was broken, and turnover is quite likely. If organizations are successful in providing a strategic purpose for the repatriation and give the expatriate an opportunity to put his or her new skills to use, it is likely to enhance the company's ability to retain the individual. There should be a conscious, proactive effort to aid people in readjusting to the home country, just like we make efforts by assigning a host country mentor to make sure that expatriates are able to adapt to the new environment in the host country. We should make the same efforts when the individual returns home to ensure that we can retain this employee. And finally, the recognition of reverse culture shock and having preparation and training in place for it can help expatriates adjust. An important consideration in international human resource management and international assignments applies to female expatriates. Female expatriates are still the minority and significantly underrepresented in the individuals who are selected for foreign assignments. This is partially because hiring managers and HR managers believe that women do not want to take on international assignments. In fact, a study with graduating MBAs found that 3/4 of female graduates from MBA program have a strong desire to take on international assignment. So sometimes the perceptions of hiring managers and HR managers are incorrect. Another challenge that women face in taking international assignments is the belief among home country managers or HR managers that they might face discrimination in the host country, especially if that host country has more traditional views in which women are not likely to be in managerial position. But in fact, a phenomenon that was identified in some research is that women are very often considered unique. The term gaijin refers to foreigner in Japanese. And in fact, even though Japan is a traditional society in which you are not likely to see many female managers, foreign female managers, Western female managers, were actually considered quite unique and became more visible. People sought out their presence because they perceived them as unique, different. There was also the assumption that if this individual was sent to the foreign location, they are necessarily the best person for the job. So the emphasis was not on the fact that the individual was a woman, but rather that that individual was a foreigner, interesting, unique, and assumed to be qualified. Another variable that contributes to women's success in foreign assignments is that women are more likely to excel in relational skills, which is very important for expatriate success. Women have higher self-transcendence scores compared to men. This refers to their ability to understand, appreciate, and care for the well-being of others and have a more caring disposition. A final aspect is that women in senior leadership positions are used to being the only female individual on the board or the only female individual in the room. They are more comfortable with this isolation, whereas male managers are not always used to being the only one or the one who is different from everyone else, which can create a challenge when you find yourself in a foreign country where you are isolated because of your national origin. But in spite of some of the advantages that women have in expatriate positions, they also face some disadvantages. Women face the glass ceiling and isolation and loneliness. They need to work harder to prove themselves. They are not usually given international assignments until later in their careers. They have, just like in the domestic context, the challenge of balancing work and family responsibilities. And very often, professional women are part of dual career couples, which can represent a challenge for taking on an international assignment. This is the same for men and women who are part of dual career couples. If the spouse is not supportive of the international assignee, this is likely to undermine the success of the international assignment. In the last part of Chapter 11, we're going to discuss some strategic approaches to international human resource management. The approach that an organization takes in terms of managing human resources globally is typically aligned with the overall strategy of the organization. There are 4 broad types of HRM orientations. The first one is the ethnocentric approach, in which all aspects of human resource management tend to follow the parent organization's practices. Ethnocentrism refers to a worldview in which we believe that what we do at home is necessarily better and superior to any practice elsewhere. And so when organizations take this approach, they're more likely to staff key leadership positions with parent country nationals. The other approaches are the regiocentric and the polycentric approach. The polycentric approach is one that is more responsive to host country differences, and there's going to be much heavier reliance on hiring host country managers. The regiocentric approach is similar to the polycentric one in that it adopts a similar perspective within a particular region of the world, not a specific country. The last perspective or approach is the global one, in which selection and recruiting depends on the needs of the organization rather than the nationality of the individual. In the next few slides, we're going to look at how these different HRM orientations align with the different strategic approaches that we discussed earlier this semester. In the ethnocentric approach to international human resource management, all aspects of HRM follow the parent organization's practices. This means that key managerial and technical positions are going to be filled by parent country nationals, and those individuals are going to be selected based on their technical skills and past success in the home organization. There's not going to be a lot of emphasis on cross-cultural or language training, and assignments will be shorter. Host country nationals will be employed, but typically in lower level or staff positions. This approach to HRM, the ethnocentric approach, is suitable for organizations that adopt an international strategy. In an international strategy, upstream value chain activities are globalized. These types of companies sell global products with minimal local adaptation. This means that the ethnocentric approach would be suitable for these types of organizations. Of course, these types of organizations using an international strategy could use a mix of HRM approaches, depending on what parts of the value chain are globally integrated and which ones are not. For example, if production is located in a low-cost location for efficiency and cost savings, the organization could use a polycentric approach in that part of the value chain. But overall, key decision-making positions will be held by parent country nationals. This approach has some advantages. There's going to be a high level of control and loyalty because parent country nationals are basically running the operation. There's not going to be a need to recruit or train host country nationals for higher level management positions. Parent country nationals are not going to receive extensive pre-departure and cross-cultural training because assignments tend to be shorter, and key decision making is centralized and carried out by people loyal to headquarters, parent country nationals. Of course, this approach has some weaknesses. It's going to offer some limited career development opportunities for host country managers, which might be demotivating. And those talented individuals might not stay with you because they don't see any career mobility opportunities. Host country nationals may never really identify with the company and become loyal because of this blocked mobility. And expatriate managers are often poorly prepared for international assignments and make mistakes, cultural missteps, and might be more likely to fail. The regiocentric and polycentric approaches to human resource management facilitate higher levels of local responsiveness. So a company with a multi-domestic strategy that emphasizes local responsiveness is more likely to have a polycentric approach to managing its human resources. There's going to be extensive use of host country nationals as managers to benefit from their local knowledge. Host country managers are going to have a deeper understanding of local consumer tastes, local distribution channels, government regulations, expectations of workers, and so in a company that has a multi-domestic strategy and emphasizes local responsiveness, a polycentric approach to human resources is going to be suitable. This approach means extensive use of host country managers. Companies that use a regional strategy, which tend to be locally responsive at a regional level, are going to benefit from a regiocentric approach to human resources because there's going to be added emphasis on regional coordination and control, not at the global level, but at the regional level within a group of countries in a particular region. Managers need to have an understanding of the region. And so this approach, the regiocentric approach, might facilitate the hiring of a mix of host country nationals and third country nationals as managers because they have to have an understanding of regional markets, different governments, cultures, and languages, as well as social institutions within a particular region. This approach is going to be less costly. We're not going to have to invest as much in pre-departure and cross-cultural and language training because we rely heavily on host country nationals. Those individuals also don't command such significant compensation packages, and so this reduces the cost of this approach. It's also less likely to cause adjustment issues, cross-cultural adjustment and learning new languages for their individual employees and their families because people work in their home country or within the region that has some cultural similarities. Some of the weaknesses of this approach is that because we have a limited use of parent country nationals, it might represent some challenges with coordination and control. Host country nationals might be more loyal to the host country subsidiary rather than to headquarters. They might not be as fluent in the corporate language, and this might represent some challenges in communicating with headquarters. When using the regiocentric or polycentric approach, this represents limited career path opportunities for host country nationals outside their country or outside their region. This is better than the ethnocentric approach in which they have no managerial opportunities, but still in this situation, managerial opportunities are restricted to their own countries or their own region. A final limitation of this approach, because of the limited use of parent country nationals, is that the organization does not get a chance to build a cadre of globally minded managers. The global approach to HRM is most suitable for a transnational strategy. A transnational strategy is one used by an organization that seeks to maximize location advantages. This type of organization is going to locate value chain activities wherever it's most advantageous, most effective, most efficient, lowest cost, or access to the highest skilled people, depending on what aspect of the value chain we're looking at. And so in an organization that uses a transnational strategy, a global approach to human resource management is most suitable. In this type of approach, people are selected for positions based on their skills rather than their nationality. Their nationality is not considered, but rather, can they do the job and can they be where we need them to be? In this approach to human resource management, managers are selected and trained to manage cultural diversity inside and outside the company. The benefits of this approach is that you have access to a bigger talent pool. You can employ people from throughout your organization based on the unique skills that they bring without considering nationality. This means that the entire workforce of your organization will be improving its international expertise, its global mindedness, and cultural intelligence. And it can help organizations develop transnational organizational cultures and truly global organizations. Some of the disadvantages or challenges of this approach is that immigration laws in particular countries might limit your ability to do or to take on this approach and to move people based on your needs regardless of their nationality. This approach also assumes that all of your employees are willing, ready, and able to relocate to other countries. Some employees have personal life situations that prevent them from taking on international assignments. For example, people who are caring for aging parents can't leave the country. People who are divorced and don't want to live in a country other than their children, but can't take their children with them because the other ex-spouse is not joining on the assignment. All of these personal situations prevent people from taking on international assignments, and so might not enable an organization to take on this approach. And of course, this approach can be quite costly because you have to coordinate relocations worldwide, ensure purchasing power parity, which we discussed in the second part of Chapter 11, and make sure that you invest heavily in training to enhance people's ability to succeed across cultures. This concludes our discussion of Chapter 11. In Chapter 12, we'll discuss some additional human resource management aspects regarding host country employees. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.